Act of violence in Orlando. The entire country in shock, and at least 50 people dead in what is now the worst mass shooting in U.S. history. The victims were shot and killed overnight at a gay nightclub by a lone gunman. As you just heard, President Obama is consoling the nation, calling this tragedy both an act of terror and an act of hate. Right now, some families are still waiting to hear word if their loved ones are alive or if they'll survive the night in the hospital. As the names of the victims killed are being released, the images coming in from Orlando are heartbreaking. Innocent people wounded by bullets, strangers carrying each other away from the gunshots towards safety to get medical help. Authorities have identified the Orlando shooting suspect as 29-year-old Omar Mateen. He was killed in a shootout with police. Federal investigators say Mateen has ties to terrorism, specifically ISIS. NBC's Jay Gray has new information from Orlando.
Hey there, good evening. The Pulse Nightclub just behind us here. Still an active crime scene right now, less than 24 hours after the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history. A makeshift morgue has now been set up alongside the popular gay night spot as investigators continue their work here.
Oh my God, people are getting shot, dude.
Chaos during what witnesses describe as a slaughter.
Just bang, bang, screaming and loud noise, and the guy next to me was shot.
50 people murdered, more than 50 more wounded during an overnight killing spree at the Pulse nightclub.
I thought I was gonna die. Like, I didn't know if I was gonna come out alive.
Dozens were held hostage for 3 hours or more inside the club until a SWAT team moved in. The suspect killed during a shootout with police. Investigators say 29-year-old Omar Mateen was the triggerman, described by federal agents as a domestic terrorist. And we now know he was questioned in 2013 and again in 2014 by the FBI over possible terrorist ties.
It's been reported that Mateen made calls to 911 this morning in which he stated his allegiance to the leader of the Islamic State.
We're also told he mentioned the Boston Marathon bombing during that call just before the attack. As the investigation continues at this popular gay nightclub, Mateen's family tells NBC News he may have carried out the most deadly mass killing in U.S. history, outraged after seeing two men kiss in Miami weeks earlier. As police and federal agents scramble to find out how and why it happened, they must now also begin the grisly task of identifying the victims.
And Love, Pulse remains an active crime scene, and law enforcement is working the scene as efficiently and as diligently as they possibly can, while also being respectful of the remains of the deceased.
The club also serving as an agonizing reminder.
Attacks on any American, regardless of race, ethnicity, religion, or sexual orientation, is an attack on all of us.
A staggering blow to a city and nation now mourning so many lost. Federal agents say Mateen was armed with a handgun and assault rifle, weapons he purchased legally, they say, a few days before the attack. Jay Gray, NBC News, Orlando.
LGBT advocates here in Charlotte are coming together to support their community, which is reeling from the tragic news that a gay establishment was targeted. NBC Charlotte's Brandon Goldner is live at a candlelight vigil in Plaza Midwood. Brandon, Charlotte Pride coordinated this event. I know it's got to be an emotional evening for everybody there.
It definitely is, Tanya. This last-minute vigil is one of the ways the LGBTQ community is responding to this tragedy. The vigil will start in about 25 minutes here at Holy Trinity Lutheran Church. It was already a busy day for LGBTQ events, particularly because it is Pride Month. The Charlotte LGBT Chamber of Commerce still held a pool party today, but it was a much more somber mood. Definitely a visible presence of security guards there. Now, here at the Charlotte Pride offices, the executive board had already scheduled a meet and greet with members and new officers. Board of Directors member Matt Comer hopes this vigil will not only honor the memories of those who died in Orlando, but send a message to Charlotte's very own LGBT community.
We're still here. We're still proud that hate and violence cannot drown out the pride that we have as a community, especially considering that this incident, this heinous act, happened during National LGBT Pride Month.
Now, later tonight, I'll have more reaction from local LGBT advocates, including Melissa Morris of the LGBT Chamber of Commerce. I'll also have reaction from people attending tonight's vigil. Live in Plaza Midwood, Brandon Goldner, NBC Charlotte.
And across the Carolinas, more LGBT activists are coming together today and tomorrow holding vigils. The director of Equality North Carolina says he has friends in Orlando, so this senseless shooting impacts him personally.
Every update that comes in is just another hit of the emotions, sadness, anger.
And chaplains are offering any emotional and spiritual support that the community needs. And today, Franklin Graham posted this message on his Facebook page, quote, "My prayers are with the many victims and family members who lost loved ones in this senseless shooting, now being called an act of terrorism at a gay nightclub in Orlando early this morning. Life is precious, and we only have one chance to live our lives here on this earth." And as we mentioned earlier, FBI investigators say the Orlando shooter, Omar Mateen, pledged his allegiance to ISIS during the terror attack. Mateen called 911 early this morning during his shooting rampage, declaring his support for the Islamic State. Tonight, the head of the Islamic Center of Charlotte is condemning the attack, saying this is not what Islam stands for.
It's very frustrating for us, for Muslims, because it's kind of twofold for us. I mean, we condemn any senseless act of violence, any killing any innocent human being, but we also must face the backlash of those that may seek to take their frustrations out on us, or think that we may be somehow connected or have something to do with it.
Governor Pat McCrory says North Carolina will help in any way during this tragic time. In a statement, McCrory says, in part, those who died were innocent victims of an inexcusable act of violence. My